And away we go. Now, just a few hours before I started recording this episode, I was feeling down in the dumps. And I asked myself, do I really have to do this? And the answer is no, I don't have to do it. Am I doing this anyway? Yes. Yes, I am. That's life. We all do stuff we don't want to do, yet we do it anyway because it gives us some kind of purpose. Or it is something that pays the bills, gives us enough money to get by with the costs of paying for our gas, electricity, Wi-Fi, the rent, expenses for our vehicles, public transportation, another thing, and so on and so forth. So, we go on about our life the way we go on about our lives. So, and also, just a few hours before starting recording this episode, there was at least one YouTube video that I sent to the group chat to all the lads to look at, and well, I would still get into that anyway. I don't want to just get into that only, and then get into the rest of what goes on in the world. I looked in the backlogs of all the other videos that I saw on social media in the past many, many months ago and have saved, and I thought, let me have a look at what these videos are and what memories that they bring back in my mind. And that's what I did. So I'm just having a look at those videos that I've saved from social media many, many months ago, and I'll just see, and again, I don't have to do this. I believe it is important that we are open and we're honest, but that does not mean we should do crazy crap. No, we shouldn't say we should do horrible stuff to people, because why would you? What's the point? You're going to regret it later, but that's just me. And those exact videos that I've looked back in at my camera roll, I have also sent to the lads into that group chat. And again, just to see what their reactions would be. Although they don't say much directly, they just have their own thoughts and they say nothing to the group chat, which is okay. So in regards to the stuff that me and the lads share back to each other in regards to whatever goes on in our world, or at least what's in our pipelines for unknown reasons that we may or may not know about. The first of the Instagram reel dumps, the bulk, I'm not sure what else to call it. Out of all the Instagram reels I've sent to the lads for them to react, the first one is in regards to music artist Zara Larsson. She was about to be given a $3 million deal. However, something happened in a social media account which that made the brand in question that was giving the deal to her say, nope, we're not going to give it to you. Now, I'm going to play to you 2 parts of the same video. I had to cut them up because if I send them in full, Discord, the platform where our group chat is, wouldn't allow any content over 10 megabytes of data to be sent over. Unless I pay for their subscription, which I'm not going to do. Not that I'm cheap. What's the point in me spending all that money just to get extra space of sending data of content to people? That's just me. I don't see any point in doing that. So here is the video in question. Let's check. Okay, yes. Here we go. For those who don't, so I'll have to be honest. So I have to give more context now because the video won't actually play as I want it to. So there was a social media post about one of Zara Lawson's fans going to a concert. Now it's letting me play.
This ain't him. Look, it's an abortion joke. She commented in response to her fans' TikTok they posted after her show, where they said, I didn't know I was pregnant here, but at least my baby got to hear Midnight Sun before I aborted it. And Zara Larsson commented, I killed it at the show, and then you killed it afterward. Then she revealed in this now deleted TikTok that they rescinded the offer. And Zara Larson's net worth is reported to be $10 million, and that is like 30% of her net worth. She could be millions of dollars richer. I bet you she would have been in commercials, the face of the brand for a long time, many posts. But she just responded and said, I don't give a fuck.
Lately, like,
Zara Larsson has lost.
If you don't agree with me thinking that women should have to abortion, we're just not meant to be partners. And I don't give a fuck about it. I don't give a rat's ass.
Now, many stars would have put out a notes app apology, never spoken about the topic ever again, and hoped the brand would come back around, but she stood on business as always. That's why we love. This is in addition to her revealing on her documentary that she lost a huge award show performance, other brand deals, speaking up on other huge political topics like advocating for Gaza and speaking out against ICE.
Like have pulled off shows or canceled like award show performances or like have deals. Stuff.
She lost millions of dollars, but she gained millions of dollars worth of authenticity, and for that, we all need to support her in anything she does.
So that is the whole video. Again, although it is not my fault for any of this, I do apologize for whatever technical difficulties there were in trying to play the entire video. Of course, got there in the end. So, my honest opinions on Zara Larsson, her dark humor joke about abortion. This is not to say you should agree with what Zara Larsson says about abortion. And you don't have to agree, or even like Zara Larsson's music. What I will say is that I respect Zara Larsson for being open and honest about her views and her opinions on what goes on in today's society. And whilst this $3 million deal would certainly secure her life for many, many decades to come, or at least many years to come, she believed that if the brand in question isn't going to give Zara that deal because of a dark humor joke she made, like Zara Larsson said, it's probably best that we're not meant to be partners. And again, I respect her for that. That's not to say that people should agree with Zara's opinions or people should like her music. I will say I respect Zara Larsson for being open and honest about her views and her opinions. No one should sell themselves out just to make a couple $1 million and to financially secure yourself for many years to come. If you're going to build a loyal fan base and a branding, it is crucial that you are true to yourself. Well, I'm not sure what's up with my speech today. To be as authentic as possible. Authentic. To be as authentic as possible is also the key in building a loyal fan base. And I know if Risk or Eric were on here, I know the first thing that one of the two will say is abortion is wrong, abortion is murder. No life of any stage in the lifespan should they be unalived. At least that's what I believe Risk or Eric would say in regards to abortion. Even then, at least people in this world know where people stand and what people believe in. It at least saves them the stress for the next few years if at any point they do actually be open, if not now, and then they lose out big time, and then news outlets go hemorrhaging on those people relentlessly. And for some reason, which I do not condone any capacity, people going after these people, sending death threats, igniting violence, trashing private property, and other related incidents and elements of events as such. So again, I will say I respect Zara for being open and honest about her opinions, even when not many people would agree with her. It saves her a lot of stress in the long run and in the next few years. And if at any point any other brands, upon knowing about this story, they want to approach Zara Larsson with a brand deal, at least we now know that the likelihood of getting a brand deal for Zara Larsson with whichever company or brand, they would be more aligned with Zara Larsson's views. And again, if whatever brand doesn't want to sign any celebrities with a contract of any sort because of their particular views, then again, they'll certainly dodged a bullet there. Saves them years of hassle in the future, which no one would want to go through whatsoever. And this is more about the technical issues, whilst I was trying to play that audio for you, I'm not going to go after. There is another question, which, well, people know, not many people can't get their grasps into it, until they fully understand. And in my opinion, I'm not sure if that makes any sense whatsoever. In a few years from now, if something like this if problems like this do continue, even the small stuff, as a way to test my patience, preventing particular parts of crucial information from being spread across the internet or across the globe, it is worth asking, why are these people doing this? What are they trying to stop me from doing? And is there any possibility of people losing their livelihoods and their day jobs because of what views that they present publicly to the world? It's better later than never, or at least better now than later. But if not, then better later than never. So, next video I've sent to the lads, which I just saw from something I saved a while back, is a video relating to Kai Cenat. I know Eric Taylor has talked about Kai Cenat for quite a while, how the Kai Cenat we see now is not the real Kai Cenat from years ago. Nonetheless, I still saved it, and I'm not gonna, and I'm not gonna be, and I try not to jump to conclusions too quickly and say, oh no, Kai Cenat's been replaced. No, I'm not. I try not to get into that. But what do exist, however, are stunt doubles. Having a lookalike of yourself that can fill in for you to do the dangerous stuff for movies and films that the original actor will not be in any capacity to do themselves. That's at least what I'm taking into consideration. So I'll play for you the audio if the platform in question allows me to. Stay calm about this, and hopefully it all works out.
Nah, man. This ain't him. Look. No. They're switching them out, y'all. Look at this. Nah, y'all. They are switching these people out. Something is about to go down. New soldier. Look at the new soldier boy, huh? Finagle? When did Soldier Boy ever say something like that? Look at this. Look. That's not the same soldier. In fact, Soldier Boy had a dimple in his chin. Look at this. Look at this guy. His chin is like square. Look. Bro, what's going on? This guy's even a lot lighter. Look at him. Who is this? Have y'all seen Martin Lawrence lately? He just came back after losing a whole bunch of weight, but he don't even want to show his face. Look at him. Look. That's not him. Look, he don't even want to show his face. The camera don't even want to get close to him. Why would you want to get close to him? Look. Don't even look. They should be in the mirror. Ain't too far away. That's not Martin. Look. Something is getting ready to go down because they're switching out all the celebrities. Are y'all not noticing? And then everything that's going on with the weather right now, something big is getting ready to happen. I'm not trying to cause fear, y'all, but I'm showing you guys the patterns. And every day about to switch these people out, something crazy about them come out. All I know is we are in some crazy, amazing times, though. Let me know what you guys think about this video, y'all. They don't even want to show his face. Let's continue to get this shit. Peace and
I don't think there's anything for me to say beyond what's been said. And of course, I know there will be other people pointing out that something like this does happen. It's normalized these days. Not that the original person is no longer alive. There could be a possibility, hypothetically, that these are stunt doubles that are filling in for the original person, mainly because the original person in question may want to take a step back from the limelight. Or possibly, the person that you're seeing in the limelight, in live, live streams, in movies, this is not an individual. The name of the celebrity which you are looking up to is essentially a brand. Again, I'm just thinking out loud, and this is a hypothetical situation or scenario. What if Kai Cenat, along with other celebrities, are essentially a brand? I'm just saying, if this isn't if it's not a conspiracy theory of a cover up of the original person saying that what you're seeing is not real, everything that you're seeing is all set up, it's all for your amusement, then what's the reason why the person that is Kai Cenat, the person that is Jim Carrey, or the person that is Amanda what's his name looks different to what the name of said actor or actress or celebrity looked like before? Why is the eye color different? Where's the dimple? Who on earth would say Diggity Rag or Slim Jimmy and Giga Chad Riz? I don't know anyone who would say that. Goodness me. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on the situation. I know a lot of people will jump to the conclusion that whoever is the celebrity posing as said celebrity, the original person that was the celebrity is not likely no longer alive because the original person was saying too much about the puppet strings, the world being the stage or whatnot. If it's not that, then why is the celebrity you look up to look vastly different to what the actor, actress, celebrity live stream would look like before? Or could this be the brand that you just admired of? This is not an individual like everyday people like us. You're looking up to a particular brand, and the new guy or woman that's filling in as the celebrity you're looking up to has forgotten that said celebrity doesn't say these words, doesn't act this way, and their posture looks different to how the new guy or woman is filling in for that spot as the celebrity that millions of people are looking up to. I'm not saying I have a problem with this. There's a lot more, and I try not to jump to conclusions on one aspect which a lot of people, mainly conspiracy theorists, are pointing to. Even if it's true, it cannot be just that. There is another reason, and there is another aspect to what we see online. One thing is true, however, that goes without saying, and surely no one is shy to say, the world is a stage. I know the world is a stage, and I know that even when my next chapters in my life, where I hope to reach the world stage as these people that I've discussed in these episodes in the past, it's quite slim to get to that position. Just like trying to be a professional soccer football player. As good of a player as you are you good enough to be a professional player? No, not semi-professional, let alone an amateur. Actually, no. Are you a good enough player in soccer football to play in the amateur leagues, let alone become a semi-professional player? Never mind become a professional player playing in top-flight divisions like the English Premier League, German Bundesliga, Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A, the US's MLS, Liga MX in Mexico, Brasileiro Serie A, or another top-flight division in soccer football. No matter how good you are, there's always going to be a marginal difference separating you and everyone else that's getting all the attention. Opportunities people wish they could get, but they can't. They're just not there yet, and that's life. And that could be said with a lot of things in life. Even if you are a good employee, you're good at your job, you have so much knowledge and experience, are you at the right place at the right time to get the attention of those that will give you bigger opportunities than than those that you are getting right now? A lot to think about. Oh yes. Alright, this next video is, how do I put it? Surely this video will put it a lot better than I would. Hold on, let me just go back to the start. Here we go.
Approximately 15% of all food listings on apps such as Deliveroo and Uber Eats are now dark kitchens, meaning that if you went to the address listed on the app, you wouldn't find a restaurant with tables and waiters. You're more likely to find them in a metal shipping container. One industrial kitchen can legally trade as 10 different restaurants on the app. So when you see Jake's Vegan Shack, Wings of Fire, and the Burger Bros, they are possibly all being cooked by the same person. Why? Because it hacks the algorithm. If they list one restaurant, they get one spot on the search page. If they list as 10 virtual brands, they dominate the entire screen. It makes sense for the dark kitchen. You don't need a high street restaurant location or a load of waiters, so you're saving on both rent and wages.
Where do I go on with this? Imagine if you were one of these people that was in the same room when something like this drawn up. One guy says, alright lads, what idea should we have? What new business idea should we get? And then one guy all of a sudden says, let's set up a dark kitchen. What's a dark kitchen? A dark kitchen is when you essentially, Deliveroo and Uber Eats. Yes. What if we set up multiple independent fast food joints all on the app, multiple accounts, yet the kitchen that's making the food for these joints is within the same location, all in the same spot? What if we get these shipping containers, which will cost a couple £1,000, and have one of these kitchens provide as if they were 10 independent fast food joints, and then provide these foods to all the people in London? That could work. And then a couple £1,000s later, they go ahead with the idea, and then eventually the amount of money these men put towards building these dark kitchens, they make the same amount of money back as much of the expenses they put into making these dark kitchens to begin with in just less than a week. And I know a lot of people will argue, is this even legal? How could anyone allow that? And that is a good point. I think the truth is, and last time I recall, I don't believe there is any laws prohibiting any practices like this. There isn't a law that says you can't set up one kitchen as if there were multiple independent restaurants. That's the reason why these dark kitchens exist. There aren't any laws, as that I know of now, that prohibit any practices like this. What if people do continue operating these dark kitchens? And what if people that are wanting to create a new business for themselves then takes inspiration from that idea? They make their own dark kitchens set up in an empty lot, under a bridge, open field. Not sure about an open field, but certainly somewhere close to industrial park or abandoned lot that's no longer used anymore. And then from that point, so long as you're paying the chefs to make the food for these so-called independent joints, independent restaurants that hypothetically or technically don't even exist, they make loads of money, and then the men that made these dark kitchens to begin with makes millions upon millions of pounds. And not to say they'll be secured for life, they'll make enough money to get by with whatever financial crisis is going on. And you know what? I feel like practices like this will continue, even if there are laws put in place saying you gotta have to set one fast food restaurant or only one kitchen is allowed to serve 1 or 2 restaurants each day. Until such laws like that come into place or something similar, if people want to make a new business idea that is, well, I'm not gonna not say it is legal, yet somehow people who people who want to set up business ideas in the dodgiest ways possible, this could be one of those ideas that people would likely turn to make quick cash with a fraction of whatever budget they propose, and with fractions of expenses that it would usually cost with any other restaurant that exists. And again, even with such laws put in place, these people that are setting up these dark kitchens, they will find ways around it. It won't be slick, it won't be discreet. They will try anything to ensure that these people making such business practices, they continue making their profit whatever way they can, even if a majority of today's world heavily disagrees with how these practices are going on. Next video, there is text that reads, ADHD meds are too easy to get, and this young lad that's speaking in this video, in short, goes on to saying how people these days, he's talking about how overdiagnosis is becoming too common, or something like that. Here is the audio that goes into it a lot more detail.
I deadass think that ADHD is so overdiagnosed, because I know when I was a kid, I got checked for it and they didn't find anything, right? And I had friends who also have had the same thing happen to them. Later in life, because they want to lock in, they go to a doctor and they say, hey, I'm having trouble focusing and I am jittery with my hands. And they were prescribed Adderall in 10 minutes. I think that it's so overdiagnosed because these psychiatrists need to get paid and these medicine companies need money. You're putting kids on meth because they can't sit down in class and raise their hand like good little factory workers that you're training them out to be. Most people don't learn like that. Most people don't. And I think the unfortunate part about it too is that it makes people take people with ADHD, actual ADHD, way less serious. You know, I was at the point years ago when I thought it was overdiagnosed and it made me think, I'm like, I wonder if it's even real. And that's a dangerous mindset to have because then it's taking credit away from people who actually have that mental illness. You know what I mean? I feel like it's so overdiagnosed though. I know for a fact I could go to a psychiatrist right now and get ADHD meds in 10 minutes.
You know what? I can't argue with that. Very good points. Who's going to argue with these points? Yes, I'm aware that people do have conditions that affect people physically, mentally, psychologically, or even emotionally. Yet, to ensure that these diagnoses are carried out not just effectively, efficiently as well. Whatever prescription or medication that's given to these people, they believe it is most effective to those people who has conditions that does at least affect and have an impact on these people to a noticeable extent that without such medication or prescription, then these people weren't able to continue going on with life. In today's world, whilst there are better research and better understanding of many physical, mental, psychological, and emotional conditions that exist, when people see any symptoms of said conditions, people immediately say, maybe I have that condition. Maybe I should go to a doctor and be checked out on these conditions. And then the doctor would say, you have that condition. So I'm going to give you this prescription, take that many each day, and cheerio. Now, the doctor is not just giving it because it is necessary. The doctor is giving these people this medication or prescription. It's because it gives the doctor in question a substantial or at least noticeable cut of the pay. That is what the doctors are intended to do. They're supposed to give these people any route to such a prescription if that means these doctors will get paid for being the ones that recommended these patients these medications and prescriptions to begin with. And that is quite unfortunate that there are people that are doing these things for the sake of making money. Money is essential to cover the costs that goes on in today's world. To be so money hungry that you'll just prescribe for doctors to prescribe anyone with any drug if they show even a few signs or symptoms of any condition, especially when people obviously do not have that condition to begin with. It's not just a problem that people are money hungry, or it is also the case that the not over recognition, as more of these cases are being brought up to the public each week, each month, each year. And then eventually, people start to see how common said condition is. People are not going to take it seriously because, oh, what if I have that condition? Because I do this and I also do that. Like with these people who are certainly diagnosed by a doctor but for having said condition. Can I have that condition? If not, why don't I have that condition? And then having these questions takes away the concern and legitimacy of people who actually do have these conditions, who actually have to live with them. And of course, I know, whilst I have my concerns about people trying to make money out of people being sick and trying to prescribe medicine just to make a buck for their payday, I know there are doctors and health experts that do care about the health of other people, and they'll do whatever they can to ensure the care, the health, and to some extent the safety of their patients. I'm not going to go after healthcare or doctors and saying that they're after money because they believe they're going to get a high salary at the end of the day after clocking off work. I know that it is very serious to ensure that people are healthy, and people do understand what conditions are roaming about these days, and how it can affect you. Again, in that video, that young lad talking about the overdiagnosis of ADHD. Well, if it's the case that many people are diagnosed with ADHD, who's not to say that anyone could have ADHD? Not that is true. That is an argument people will make. If a particular condition has a higher rate of diagnosis than any other condition in the last few years, and especially if you know more people than you should that are diagnosed with said condition, giving us the impression that said condition is a lot more common than we thought. And to some extent, it will make us believe, could we have that condition? Even if we do have particular symptoms or signs that does show that we could have that condition, yet there are other signs that we don't have, so we can't have that condition. It is very complicated, very confusing, and possibly very misleading. So it is important, whilst people do have disagreements and arguments about healthcare, medicines, prescriptions, and recreational drugs, I do believe, regardless of whoever and whatever, people do understand what these physical, mental, psychological, and even emotional conditions that might be, how it affects people's lives, and is there any medication or prescription to help soften the effects of said conditions. Alright, so next video is looking at a couple of Polish lads, I'd assume somewhere in Italy, because there was one woman that said, bravo, brava, something. So I believe it's somewhere in Italy. It's a couple of Polish lads just moving a car out of the road to make way for a light rail tram to get through. Although there isn't much speaking, there is people speaking in the background, reacting to the event as it happens. Here is the audio for you now. So yeah, and again, looking at that video, how many Polish lads were just, and maybe some Italians as well, just moving the car out of the way so they can make way for the light rail tram to get through. That's great. It really gives a very positive light on Poland. And I think the Polish economy is doing very well for themselves. I'm certain that Poland is doing very well for themselves. And I'm not talking about whatever structures and parties that are taking over Poland right now. It's the long-term planning, and I know Risk, who likes Poland so much, would mention this. I would also say the public transportation sector in Poland, in local cities in the country, are also doing pretty well, and maybe expanding some routes to some extent. Not sure if there's any more updates on public transit in Poland. I know the Polish economy is doing very well for themselves, and at the rate they're going at, they will continue to do very well. All right, and I did say I was going to get into this eventually, and I will. There's a YouTube video which I just found somewhere today. It's the YouTube channel called Harris Sultan. The YouTube video is titled "New Survey: 1 in 3 British Muslims consider leaving." And then there's a text within the thumbnail reading, "We are leaving." And then the thumbnail picture in question shows hundreds of Muslims in Heathrow Airport indicating that they are leaving. And whilst at the time of sending that YouTube video, I did send it to the group chat, I didn't actually listen to it until an hour before starting this recording. Not that I have to. If I'm going to talk about something that I've sent or have seen, I should at least have a look at it myself to get an understanding of why these people are saying and what is the aspects, the causes, and so on. At least have a clear understanding. It does not have to be perfect. I should at least know what I'm getting myself into when just talking about these topics. So in short, Harris Sultan, the creator on YouTube, discussing in that YouTube video, it goes on to say that, again, according to the survey that he discussed in that video, as the title suggests, a third of British Muslims in the United Kingdom have said they are considering, or at least considering, leaving the United Kingdom. In that same YouTube video, the creator also goes on to what British Muslims have said about people converting to Islam, and the creator himself, something that stuck out to me was that with Islam, Muslims have this mindset about it's either you convert to Islam or you die. That is something that really stuck out to me. Whilst I try not to jump to conclusions with a lot of stuff, and not to say that I have anything against Muslims, what I do have strong disagreements with is to kill people or unaliving people for anything that people say or do. That, I would say. And also, I've said this many times in past episodes, I have nothing against foreigners migrating to other countries. If people want to move to another country, find shelter, find a new home, and work in a job that contributes to the local communities, I'm all for that, so long as people who are coming into a new country, whatever the country that might be, does not matter which country people migrate to, they migrate to that new country following particular processes as set by the country, have appropriate documentation that's required by the country which you are immigrating to, and of course, you know exactly what your long-term plan is for when you do reside and you do enter the new country which you have recently immigrated to. That is what matters to me. If you're going to move to a new country, at least understand what the procedures are, what documentation you need, and is there any other criteria that you need to meet in order to migrate to that new country. That is what I would say. And in regards to Muslims in the United Kingdom that are considering leaving, there was something else. Oh yes, actually no. Something I was thinking, yeah, what I would leave off with in this subject is, whilst there will be Muslims that want to make a new life for themselves in the UK, for the Muslims that are currently in United Kingdom, they are still in the UK and they do not like what is going on in the UK. A question I would ask them is, why are you still here? If you don't like what's going on in the UK, or if you don't like the culture of the UK, then move to another country. I have no problem with foreigners moving or migrating to other countries. If you're going to move to another country, you should at least like the culture of the country which you are immigrating to, and you are happy to adapt and have an understanding of the culture and the customs of the country which you are residing in. And something that in that YouTube video, there was an interview with two British Muslims about the culture of the UK. I'm not sure why I'm not fully remembering what the lads have said. They said something along the lines of, we don't like the culture of the UK. The UK has no culture. That's at least the mindset of the two interviewees in that same video, which I shared to the lads in the group chat about a third of British Muslims considering leaving the UK. And again, to that I say, if you don't like the UK culture, if you believe that the UK does not have any culture, then I will say it is okay to disagree with what the culture of the UK is. And it's okay to say, I don't like this culture. I don't believe there's anything going on in the UK. Yet, you're still here in the UK, and you're still saying, no, I don't like this. I don't like the culture. It's bland and grey. And to that I say, why bother continue living here? I'm not going to say go back to your origin country. What I would say is, if you don't like where you're at right now, then why not move to another country whose culture you do like and you like to have a clear understanding of? If it's the case that you don't have any plans of moving to another country and you're okay to continue residing in the country you're in right now, then why are you complaining about the culture of the country which you reside in? That's at least my understanding. And yeah, that is all of the stuff in the group chat that I have sent to the lads as of the last time I recorded a podcast episode. Now, usually it comes to parts I would discuss going into the rest of the news. However, I went so much into what I've sent to the group chat. This is the part where I would usually end the episode. However, I will at least read 2 news articles from Ground News that I'm seeing as of yet, and then just call it a night, call it a day for this episode. So yeah, with everything I've sent in the group chat being said, let's get into the rest of the news. Olivia Rodrigo announces 3rd album, You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love, and release date. That's a pretty long album title. On Thursday, April 2nd, singer Olivia Rodrigo announced her 3rd studio album, You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love, scheduled for June 12th to release via Geffen Records. In recent weeks, the Grammy-winning artist teased the project by mysteriously wiping her Instagram account and leaving cryptic clues, including website, color changes, and a mural in Los Angeles. During an interview with British Vogue, Rodrigo described the LP as sad love songs, explaining she realized her favorite romantic music was beautiful because it contained a tinge of fear or yearning. Accompanying the announcement, Rodrigo shared cover art depicting her upside down on a swing, while her website launched pre-orders for vinyl, CD, and cassette editions of the record. This project follows her sophomore album, Guts, released in 2023, and concludes a productive period that included her 102-show Guts World Tour, which wrapped in July 2025. I will say that's pretty good publicity. It's not eye-catching, and it's not something that is getting a lot of international headline news. I will at least give credit for the effort put into a Los Angeles mural and the cryptic clues on social media accounts that really questions people. What is this person doing? What are these people saying? I find it quite funny how people are so baffled and confused by whatever's going on. Not to say I'm in on the joke. It is funny to see how people react to strange things. Although it is appropriate to react as such, people are trying to figure out what on earth is going on. Why are these people doing this? So, yeah, you know what? Well played, Olivia. Hopefully, her new album does very well. And I know the lads, they're not into this. They won't like whatever Rodrigo would say about whatever goes on in the world. I will say, if you have a good publicity, if you got a good PR move and marketing, and it ties into the persona, the energy of the individual or brand in question, what is there to complain about? If it attracts the right audience and demographic, then surely the marketing and the PR stunts has certainly paid off. Guaranteed. Stellantis in talks to build Chinese EVs at Canadian plant, Bloomberg. Bloomberg News reported on Wednesday that Stellantis is discussing options with partner Leapmotor to build electric vehicles at its idled plant in Brampton, Ontario, reviving the facility after cancelled Jeep Compass production plans. The Brampton plant has been closed for more than 2 years after Stellantis moved production of the plant Jeep Compass to Illinois following President Donald Trump's imposition of tariffs on Canadian goods. Flavio Volpe, president of Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, warned that any production must be full vehicle assembly with local suppliers, opposing Chinese knockdown kits that provide fewer local jobs. Stellantis Canada spokeswoman Luan Gosselin said the company is actively evaluating future programs for Brampton, while Canadian Industry Minister Melanie Joly has previously stated she wants Chinese-Canadian joint ventures using local parts. US Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra suggested in a recent interview that Chinese-made vehicles imported to Canada are not going to cross the border into the US, citing regulatory restrictions on connected vehicles using Chinese technology. In my opinion, it sounds like to me that, and I'm not sure if this is obvious to a lot of people or anyone, Canada are really wanting to continue doing business with. No, Canada wants to continue doing business with China, even when people argue about the quality of Chinese imports as well as how much of a market share in global trade China has. Nonetheless, countries continue doing trade as they were, and the rest is history. What I will say is, so long if Canada is committed into providing local jobs for Canadians, and they achieve providing these local jobs to Canadians in the automotive industry, then the rest is what about this and what about that and nothing else. And it's something I would say for a lot of countries. Whilst it is important to do trade with other countries and provide the goods and the services to local people, it is much more important, in my opinion, that a majority of goods, services, and jobs regarding Canada and or China is primarily done within their own country, and China is making as much money in their trade as much as China is. Whilst that is not the case now, nor will it ever be the case in the next few years. Nonetheless, I hope Canada does pretty well in its trade deals, trying to make most of their automotive industry and production in Canada, and surely people in Canada are able to make ends meet working these jobs, and they get something out of it that benefits them. Surely that's what a lot of world leaders hope to do. Otherwise, the best they can do is trade with the big guys that have the facilities, the productions, the parts, at a fraction of the cost it would usually take to make the same said parts themselves. It's important you prioritize producing and providing local jobs for local people, and people in the country as a whole, if not just the people, are getting a lot of the benefits from these international trades and production manufacturing. And that is it for the episode.